Right, so now that I've taken my original scan on the first visit, usually we've already done the mock-up for the patient, and this is the visit that we start to prep the patient's teeth. So this could be a week after, 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, a month after, even if you want, that's not a problem. But to make sure that your scans are still here and that you can reuse them after you have scanned the first time, this is a very important step. Right click on the scan and go to Protect from Cleanup. What Protect from Cleanup does is it prevents Trios from not deleting your files, but what Trios does is every 2 weeks it deletes parts of the files so that you cannot reuse the scan once more, so that you can save space on your computer. So when you go to Protect from Cleanup, what happens is you prevent Trios from erasing, so you can reuse these scans at any time, even after 2 to 3 years if you want. So this is a very important step. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to ask the software to copy the scan, meaning giving me another scan, right? And I'm going to change the order. When I copy, it gives me the original files once more so that I can use them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my order form this time. Okay? So let's say that I'm going to go for 10 veneers. I'm going to mark on the teeth that I'm going to do veneers 4, and I'm going to tell the software and I'm going to go for veneers or crowns, let's say, right? This is a very important step because this is not just for the order, it's for the sake of the scanner also, meaning that when the scanner understands the workflow or what you're going to do exactly, it renders the information in a different process. When you go for scan only, the software renders the scan in normal format. When you tell the software that you're going for veneers, and you're going to see this in the steps upcoming, we're going to mark on these teeth. What the software is going to do is going to render these teeth that you have marked on in high HD format, okay, in a higher resolution. So this is a very important step. Okay, and of course the other scans, there are different scan strategies. If you're going to go for an edentulous scan, you have to tell the software that this is an edentulous scan because the scan strategy is different. If you're going for an implant also, you have to tell the software because the scan strategy for the soft tissue is also different. It differs from order to order. Okay, so what else am I going to do? I'm going to tell the software that I have something called a pre-preparation scan. What does pre-preparation scan mean? It means that I'm going to scan the teeth after preparation over the original scan of the patient. So the lower will stay the same, the bite will stay the same, meaning that I'm just going to erase the parts that I prepped from my original scan and rescan those areas. So I will have two upper scans, an original scan and a prepped scan, and my original lower and my original bite. Therefore, if you're going for a full mouth rehab case, you will never lose your original vertical dimension and occlusion that you recorded from the beginning. Okay, so let's see how this process is done. I'm going to go up to the scan stage. Of course, given like we said that we already scanned the lower and the bite is there, we have the upper pre-prep scan. This is the scan that was done on the last step, and I'm going to and the software is going to ask me to mark on the teeth that I have done or where I have done my preparation. So where I mark is important because these are the areas that the scanner is going to erase. If I went for a veneer, I scan on my labial surface. If I have gone for a crown preparation, I scan on the occlusal. I mark on the occlusal because when I mark occlusal, it erases the whole area. So this is important. I'm going for veneers, so I will mark on the labial surfaces only. Of course, we only want to erase those areas, okay, that we have prepped, because other areas are always used as a reference for the scanner so that the scanner can put both scans and register them accurately on top of each other, right? So after I have done that, I will go to the pre-prep model, or the scanner will start to prepare my model and erase the areas that are already marked on so that I can rescan over the original scan that I have. Of course, here, as we said, we want to have had scanned the palette because the palette is used as a reference from the original scan. So what I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with the right side because the 6 and the 7 are there. So these are a good reference from the occlusal surface. You can see the scanner picked up where I am straight away. I will go down to the palette because the palette is already there as a reference. And as you can see, the green box is partly on the old scan and partly on the new scan. Why? I don't want my scanner to use reference and to store my new image before I go towards scans to be registered accurately to each other. Okay, so this is important. Once I have taken the palatal, because the palate is a good reference for my scanner, I can go back to the occlusal, again, part of the green box, partly on the old scan and partly on the new, so that I do not get distortion of my image. And of course, I'm taking part of the labial surface of the areas where I used to get most of the distortion. Now that I have mostly the biggest part of my image, I can continue scanning as I like until I get the full details that I want for my scan. Okay, I'm not going to scan totally to all the areas. You will understand in the upcoming steps why. Okay, because I'm going to rescan in some areas. I'm going to rescan my finish line, so I'm getting the whole picture. Okay, and now those scans are on top of each other. Let's see their image first, and then I will show you the next step of not getting only an HD format of the scan. We also get like a even higher resolution for areas that are very important, like the finished lines of our restorations. Okay, so the software again is going to ask me to mark, and where I mark is important because these are veneers. I will mark on the labial surfaces. That means that these labial surfaces will be rendered in HD format. Okay. This is the rendering in HD format. The next step is I'm going to show you how to scan also in our higher HD format so that you have higher details of your scan. If I go to the analyze page, okay, and we have a look very quickly, you'll find that I have two scans, okay, and both scans are on top of each other. So they are registered automatically to each other. So every time you do a change to your scan, this scan is automatically registered to the original scan that you have sent the lab to do the mock-up for you. And this makes life and makes our workflow much more accurate because there will be a lot of changes that are done and we are giving you the same plan every time, or we are giving you the design or the original design that we did during the treatment planning phase, so that I can give this to you or the lab can give this to you very accurately. The scans have to be on top of each other. So this is the automatic way, or the way that we register the scans on the scanner itself. This is the most accurate way. We can do this on the software, but it's never 100% accurate. So this is why we prefer you do this on your scanner so that we do not lose our alignment or any information at all. Okay, so I'm going back to the scan stage and I will show you how to scan your finished lines also in very high resolution, even in higher resolution than the resolution that we have right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first trim the areas that I want to rescan. So let's say these are my finished lines. I'm going to trim those areas here. Okay, there. Okay, let's just do the canine to canine now just for demo purposes. Okay, right? So I trim those areas from the scan itself. And then I have an option here that's called zoom. Once I go to the zoom button, my software will understand that the upcoming scan that I want to do is I want it in very high resolution. Okay. So again, I have to start scanning from a reference, the closest reference to where I have trimmed, so that I do not, because anything I'm going to scan now is going to be in zoom format and it's going to make the file even heavier. Okay. So only scan the areas you need. So I'm going back to the occlusal surfaces of my premolars there. And I will go down to the label straight away. I will rescan these areas now and scan them in even higher resolution than before. So this is a very important step. Okay. There. Okay. Of course, if I have areas that are empty later on, I can scan them without the zoom because there are areas from the palatal surface that were deleted also at the same time. Okay, so I can switch off the zoom option and just rescan those areas so that they are, I fill up all my codes, right? Given that I already scanned my areas that I needed to zoom. Okay, right. So this is the workflow that we use for any case that we do. Okay, and once you have finished, you can post-process this these scans, right? and then export them. Of course, the best format to export in right now is to export to the lab in PLY. Before the TRIO scanners used to only export in DTM and STL, but now you can export in PLY. If you don't have that option, then you need to update your TRIO software. If you still don't have it, then please contact your dealer because they know how to do it for you. Maybe they need to just to change the country of origin that has been placed on the software so that they can get that. But please export in PLY, because when we have colors, we can see actually where the gingiva is and where the finish line is. It makes life easier for the lab. And of course, when we're scanning, please, for any veneers or crowns, we really have to retract very well, because if you cannot see the finish line with your eyes, the scanner will not see it. Okay, so this is not impression material where the putty can exert forces on the gingiva and retract it even more. So you have to be even more meticulous in retraction with these type of cases using an intraoral scan.